The cyber gap is pretty intense, and it gets more intense every day. We're well over 1 million people short. A lot of folks think those positions are strictly the technology positions, when reality is there's even more positions that are non-tech than that million. So we're short, and we're having trouble retaining folks that we have today. 60% of the cyber professionals that we interact with will leave their job if a better opportunity exists. And that better opportunity is mostly based on culture. So we've got some challenges. Looking forward to hearing what you all think about that. And the number one statistic we see of why a cybersecurity professional is leaving their job is the culture being not truly caring about cyber.
I think your point on culture is really a key one, because one of the challenges we all have is we've all built these businesses that have very IT-centric skills. And unfortunately, an IT-centric skill set is not necessarily a security-centric skill set, right? We need people that aren't just binary and they're thinking and go, oh, that's broken, let's fix it. Let's turn it on, let's turn it off, which is very much an IT-centric mindset. We need people who are going to look at a problem and go, oh, what is that individual doing on the other end? Why are they doing that? What is their motivation? Let's not turn it off. Let's watch them. Let's see what else we can learn. Let's see what they're after. That type of mindset, that investigative thinking, is a completely different cultural shift than what we're all used to, and I think we've got to find ways to build that into our companies.
So we look for people with different types of degrees and minors in computer science. Doesn't necessarily have to have that minor, but having it just gives that foundation of technology, because I think the skill set to do any job, whether it's cyber or in technology, has actually been elevated. You have to have it's more than just knowing how to use Facebook. You have to be able to understand how things work. You're not going to program it, but how things are put together.
We have a master's program for people who didn't study computer science as an undergraduate. And when you come in, you can choose among 3 degrees, one of them being information assurance and cybersecurity. So that takes people who maybe studied psychology as an undergraduate and then puts them together with cybersecurity, which could be like the skill set that you're looking for, or social scientists together with cybersecurity. So I'm hoping that this broadens the thought across all of computer science and cybersecurity.
Draper recruits from a variety of different places as well. One of the things that we do when we recruit is that we're always looking for people with a breadth of backgrounds and people that can collaborate in groups. I need people that can work together, because security is a team sport nowadays.
Part of what we have to recognize in this is we need not only engineers, we also need linguists, we need other forms of science that can all start to look at this problem. I mean, data science, for example, is a huge issue. When you figure your average operations watch floor today gathers 200,000 events a day. You're not getting through that with human beings. You're going to need AI, you're going to need tools, you're going to need data science to get through that. I think the other thing we haven't talked about yet that becomes a really instrumental potential part of this is government service as well. If we look at the ideal candidate from a security perspective, this is one of those rare opportunities in history where government service actually puts someone way on the top of the pack.
We recruit all over. I think one of the advantages the younger generation, as they're graduating, has is they grew up around technology. So cyber there's a lot of fear around cyber and complexity and things like that in terms of getting into the industry. But the reality is the tools, you don't have to know how to break apart a piece of malware to zip file. The tool does that. And so there's jobs of just learning how to use the tools, how to create the roles, look at the log events, and actually those job skill sets, anybody can learn. And it's not just a computer scientist, it actually could be someone with a history major.
I would take it even further to say it's more important that our engineering culture gets the soft skills courses, or the double major. Gone are the days that a technologist doesn't need soft skills and a sales or marketing person doesn't need some tech skills. Gone are those days. We're in the tech era. We're never leaving it, and we need to combine the two. If you look at media and social media and how we stereotype cyber professionals, professionals where these young girls and boys are seeing it's the keyboard and the hoodie and you're a bad guy. And if you happen to be a woman, well, then you're one stereotype, and that's piercings and tattoos and purple hair. And there's nothing wrong with that other than it's one persona of what could be in this industry. And so we're not marketing and selling these careers to the youth as something that's for everybody.
I think you're dead on, and I'll tell you, at IBM Security, we've banned the use of, kind of images of things like hoodies when describing the attacker or the people, because exactly to your point, it's setting a precedent that's just not accurate. Interestingly enough, not only not accurate on the part of the defenders, but also not accurate on the part of the attackers, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the attackers are sitting in a cube farm just like everybody else, going to their job and working with a project manager and a boss and everything else. So we've got to really rebalance that, right? But I think the other thing we can do is we've got to really start to educate people all the way down into K-12 of what are the opportunities in this field. Because this is not, 5-10 year horizon that we're dealing with. This is going to be, a new trajectory that we're dealing with in business for here to come.
I believe that computational thinking should be required in high school. Computer science should be required in high school, because one of the things that I've observed at all of the universities I've been at, which is 3 at this point, that 75% of people who try that first computer science class like it and go on to take the second, and that 75% of people who take the second course go on to take the third. Of course, I can put a professor on that could kill everybody's interest off in computer science. That's not that hard to do. But that it's invariant of race and gender if it's a welcoming environment.
Most of the people that work for me are doing work on behalf of a government customer, from the risk management framework, analysis work for certifying government networks, to developing cryptography and cross-domain and technical protection solutions. So these are very specialized skills, and most of my people have come out of the government, to your point. So, but what I need is people that know how to work with each other to, if you develop everything in silos and try to stitch it together at the end, it's a disaster. And you need people that can team, share information, and build something better than they themselves can build.
We need people that have the leadership skills and the crisis management skills to understand, what does it mean when something happens? How do I respond? How do I prepare for that in advance? And it turns out that's a very different set of skills than what we've been teaching people in business school for the last 20 years, right? Being slow and deliberate and building consensus in your decision making is a destination for disaster.